Next up, we're going to be hearing from William Bell, who's an Executive Vice President of Product at phoenixNAP. William, are you there?
I am here. Thank you for letting me join today.
Awesome. I'm excited, and we're ready to go. So take it away.
Perfect. All right, everybody. I promise I'll try to get you through this quickly and painlessly, keep you entertained, and hopefully you guys can win a prize afterwards. So phoenixNAP is an infrastructure as a service company that was built in 2009. A little over 500 employees, and we've expanded really rapidly. So we're over 10 data centers today, kind of a map showing where we're at. So basically pretty much anywhere in the globe. And what I want to talk to you today is about some of our security offerings. But first, I'm going to give you kind of a little overview of everything that we work on as a business. So if you're looking for any of these other things, please feel free to reach out. So, we've really worked hard to become an industry leader in infrastructure as a service, specifically in the secure infrastructure as a service arena. But really focusing hard on making sure that our customers, both in our data centers and in our security services offerings, have a holistic approach to what they're working on. So when we look at most of our customers, they don't have any type of security program. They really are struggling to find and retain talent in the industry. So definitely something that a lot of our customers working with. Everyone's getting a super preview. I'm not certain how this wasn't caught in QA, but effectively, when we look at our service business, we see that a lot of our customers are looking for a provider that can get them to a better security posture, that can help prevent breaches, and can provide them with a hosted solution that kind of ties all that together. And that's really kind of where I'm going to spend my time and focus. So, there's some statistics that are mentioned here from Ponemon and Gartner. Cybersecurity damages are growing drastically. They expect, as much as $6 trillion in damages by 2021 and over $1 trillion in expenditure in security technologies. So what are we doing about that? What are we doing to try to help? So we're taking all of these infrastructure solutions and we're wrapping them in a security services delivery framework, something the industry calls a manage, detect, and respond concept. So we're really working hard to ensure that our customers are being kind of taken through this process that we describe on the left side here. And I'll share these slides with everyone so they can see afterward, or somebody will, I think. But really take them through this process to highlight, building of the right architecture, wrapping those policies and procedures in, finding all the things that you've got, really monitoring that infrastructure, and providing effectively threat detection and incident response, all from one provider. And so when we look at these kind of the building blocks of these technologies, we want to look at the communications infrastructure, the server and storage infrastructure, the network components, the applications and the operating systems, and make sure that we have a really holistic view of the environment that we're working inside of and that our customers are operating. And so when we look at kind of overall and what we have observed and are observing through our threat intelligence platform, we're seeing a broad swath of the market, right? We're able to get in front of a lot of these threats that customers may face just because we have eyes everywhere across the globe and sensors everywhere looking at that. So I think it was noted here, we saw 53,000 threat indicators last year alone that we treated effectively as some type of potential incident of compromise, right? And we're trying to find the real meat of that. So we have to get through the noise and create real actionable intelligence that we can pass to our customers. So we deliver that today for our phoenixNAP customers in our global data centers. But really what I wanted to focus on was how we deliver that as kind of one large holistic service, right? And so our data security cloud platform is one of only, at its basic core, is one of only 15 VMware Cloud verified platforms in the country, and the only one that is focused top to bottom on data security. And that's everything from micro-segmentation to auditable infrastructure to 24/7 SOC and threat intelligence, and really making sure that from the application to the hard machine running the cloud service, we're looking at every bit of this holistically, right? So we have this concept of secure by design. We're taking everything that we do, and we're trying to ensure that the customer is basically benefiting through a reference architecture that we've built and delivered in a very secure, highly compliant, multi-tenant fashion, right? And so you get to leverage our security services technology, our cloud infrastructure experience, and our focus on cost effectiveness to really drive the solution that you're looking for home and make sure it provides value for your business. So that was as quick as I can go through it because of the slide advancing. I do apologize again. We'll make sure we get that cleaned up. But if there was any questions, I'd love to take them and get you guys on to the next presentation, next prizes.
That was very quick. And yeah, we do have plenty of questions here. We will absolutely make sure that everybody gets a copy of those slides so that you can review them in more detail without them flipping around on you. So a couple questions here. How does the environment that you're describing compare to the standard private cloud or private virtualization environment?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of components that are really important here. First, I think from a compliance perspective, our focus is trying to drive through as many cross-functional compliance frameworks as we can handle effectively. Honestly, as the market is demanding of us right now, but I think at some point we'll have to kind of cry uncle. So we're focused every single day. We started with PCI HIPAA. We're working on ISO 27001. We're looking at FedRAMP. We're looking at some other things. And so that itself isn't so much the differentiator with PCI and HIPAA, but as the platform kind of matures and we get further down the road, I think it will really distinguish itself from a compliance perspective. The next side of this is this holistic security view. So when you occupy the platform and you're consuming our data security cloud service, there are a couple of components that are kind of truly not optional, right? So you've got backups as an example, right? We take a backup of your environment regardless of whether you want or not, right? So we're working with you to try to take care of that. It also provides that last level of security protection if something was to get compromised, that kind of baseline defense. We're monitoring the syslog from the network firewalls in our basic package, and we're feeding that into our 24/7 SOC. We're applying our incident response policies to that. Sometimes it's active, sometimes it's not active, where we're working with the customer to do remediation on their own. So, really this just kind of focus on every bit of security. And we've got some things that we're working on with Intel and VMware and some other partners to try to really create what could be one of the most secure infrastructure service platforms on the planet, right? We're looking at ways to do third-party key management for multi-tenant VM encryption. So that's kind of unique where you could actually leverage your enterprise key management systems to encrypt virtual machines that are running in a multi-tenant platform, something you can't even do with Amazon today. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some ways that we're focused. And then we're driving that value home, right? Making sure that that all of this doesn't come at a super boutique Cadillac price. We're trying to commoditize, automate, and deliver these services as best we can without degrading the security stance.
Now, as you were answering that question, you mentioned some certifications and compliance standards that you're
Yep.
prepared for. I think especially for certain verticals, those are really important. Could you list those off again and talk about the ones that you think are most critical?
Absolutely. So when we've kind of set our target list, so PCI and HIPAA were, without a doubt the most important, right? When we look at the number of businesses that are subjected to those two compliance standards, we set our sights there first. We also have a very long history with both of those compliance frameworks and our standards frameworks. So it was easiest for us to accomplish. But what we've taken on now really is that next level of compliance. So there's a few out there that are really important to us, and we kind of have a roadmap for this year. So I mentioned ISO 27001. What else? The CJIS framework, the criminal justice framework that's out there, which is kind of somewhat ISO related. We're looking at FedRAMP and some other kind of regional certifications, whether it's per state based on states that we have the service and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's really, obviously we have, I neglected to mention, but SOC 1, 2, and 3 on that platform as well. So it's a lot of work, and really I think one of the things that is the most promising steps around compliance that we're taking are trying to find ways to make it easier for the customer to become compliant, right? And so we're working with a couple of vendors on our roadmap for 2019 to try to find ways not just to provide a compatible environment for compliance, but to actually deliver some tools and services around governance and risk as a service that the customer can rely on to actually help them get compliant on their end.
Very good. I've got a couple of poll questions here that I'm going to pop up as we take just a couple more questions. I got at least one or two more here. So first one will look familiar if you've been on for the whole event. If you'd like to learn more, just let us know. We'll make sure and get you hooked up with that. Something that I saw on one of your slides, but I don't think has been discussed very much today, and I'm seeing some questions about, is around microsegmentation. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, why it's important in an environment like this?
Yeah, totally. So when you're working with a multi-tenant environment, there's positives and negatives, right? I think a lot of people are scared of multi-tenancy, although that's kind of come down over the years with the prevalence of Amazon and Azure and the other hyperscalers. So, being able to leverage microsegmentation not only to help secure the infrastructure, where we can actually, when you create microsegmentation, you're leveraging software-defined networking technologies to apply intelligent rule sets to network communication between applications and the internet, between two applications, whatever, at the virtual machine level, or call it instance level in some kind of corner cases. But effectively, in a traditional network, when you look at microsegmentation, or when you look at network segmentation, you would create what most people are familiar with, a VLAN, right? Create a VLAN, create another VLAN, right? Route between them and put firewall rules or ACLs, network access control lists, between those two VLANs. With microsegmentation, you can start to create kind of abstracted security policies that are applied at the virtual machine or physical machine network port. So you could say, I've got one big network, one physical network VLAN, right? All my VMs are sitting on this one physical network. And then I can actually say, these two machines on the same network, dot 1 and dot 2 can't talk to each other, right? I can only communicate on this protocol. And that level of microsegmentation, and it goes way further than that, I can't get into it here on the call, but allows you to create very application-specific, very tightly controlled, policy-based network control that follows virtual machines around regardless of what physical network segment they're placed on.
Perfect. Okay, one more poll question for one more Q&A question. Okay, so this may be getting into the weeds a little bit here, but I think this is about the compliance certifications that you were just talking about, but Nathan's asking if they were to use the resources in your cloud that is certified, does the customer also need to become certified to meet those compliance requirements? I'm thinking the answer is probably yes, but I guess it depends where the data lives, right?
Absolutely. So I think that the key here is we're facilitating faster compliance through checking a bunch of boxes that you would have to check yourself if you were to run the infrastructure on your own, right? It's a very heavily summarized version of the reality, but that's actually what I was talking about at the end. We're looking at, because we have the data, as you said, because we have the virtual machines, because we know the assets and we know the network policies and we know all these things because we're providing those as a service, we're looking at ways to extend the evidence gathering process and provide tools that can produce reports for you, the customer, that say, I've reviewed my network control lists. I'm managing my firewalls and looking at denials, and basically checking all those boxes for our customer and handing them a piece of software or a PDF that they can give to their auditor that says, look, they're doing this for me. Here's the evidence. Here's their compliance that they have that's listed in the validated service provider list. And you get what's called a trust mesh at that point, right? Where the auditor trusts us because we've already validated with another auditor that we're doing X, Y, and Z. And that's kind of the key to the kingdom of the future. That's where we're headed with this, is to make it so that you can just truly maybe take a few weeks with some non-dedicated security personnel and write some policies and maybe change your HR systems around or whatever to become compliant, versus what you have to do today, which is everything from scratch. I think they just released a new framework coming next year, but 284 controls, I think, in PCI, which can be very daunting for a business that's never undertaken some type of compliance efforts like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'd be super helpful to have a partner who can help with that. All right, that's all the Q&A questions we've got time for, but I think there's some more waiting for you here in the console. So appreciate your time here today, William.
Thank you, guys, and apologies again for the slides. Have a great one.